Hi, welcome. Oh my goodness, I'm finally here. Hopefully, this is working properly and where I'm supposed to be. Welcome. I am Teresa with Keep in Touch Crafts, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Oak Grove, Minnesota. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me, and I apologize for being a few minutes late here. I did work today and got off late, and so I'm trying to get everything ready and in place for you. So I apologize if I'm just a little less than organized because I am usually very organized, right? So sorry about that if I ahead of time if that happens. Um, so we are in a very new month of July and lots of fun stuff going on. I want to do a shout out to Josh and Amy, their anniversary, and Clara's birthday. It's just such a fun day, and there's probably a whole bunch of other things too that I'm not remembering. But we are here for another reason, and that is to do some crafting and some card stuff. Tonight I'm going to be talking about a technique of using stencils. I haven't done that one, I don't think, and we have 4 new stencils in our catalog, so I thought, well, why not just give them a try and see what we can do with them. I have a few techniques that we can use them for, and there's probably many others, but it'll be a start. Sometimes there are things in the catalog that you look at and you go, I wonder what you do with that. So we're going to be using embossing paste. We're going to be using our blending brushes. We're going to also make a project, a little gift set, a note card set that we are going to use a mini paper pumpkin box on. And we're going to use things with stencils to make a set that you can use for like a note card set that you can give as a gift, or you can just have it for yourself to be organized for when you have a little gift card that you want to give with a gift. They're kind of just the 3x3 size of cards. So that is what I have planned, and so hopefully you can get some ideas. Before we start with our, oh, hi Craig. The phone was ringing, sorry. Before we start in with our project, I have a couple of housekeeping things with Stampin' Up! To talk to you about. Today, July 1st, we are having a new promotion with our 12 by 12. Well, I guess they're not all 12 by 12, but it's our designer series paper. And designer series paper are patterned paper. They're two-sided. Typically with Stampin' Up, like one side's going to be kind of more of a pattern and lots of colors, and then the other side is more of a muted tone, but they all go together in a pack. And we're offering 15% off of quite a few different packs, so that is something that's kind of nice, and I'll be showing different projects and that kind of thing over the next few weeks here, using the different types of, as we call, DSP, designer series paper. We're going to be trying some of those packs out maybe that we haven't seen yet, or just ways to use that. So I was going to show you on my computer here. One second, I got to pull that up here. Let's go here. So here's a little thing that shows you kind of some of the packs of paper that are 15% off. You can see that there's quite a few different packs, and each pack has most of them are 12 by 12, but not all. One of them is 6 by 6, and that is a Christmas theme. That's kind of those Christmas colors. So more of that is, you can find all of that on in my store there at the stampinup.net. So it's keepintouchcrafts.stampinup.net, and that, if you go there, you're going to see the different things that are on sale. Lots of beautiful paper. I'll be showing you, like I said, in the next few weeks, some of that as we go, but some of our favorites are on there, like hand penned. There's like a peach one. I did a whole lot of work with the symmetry one, Sweet Symmetry, I think it is. And that one, I'll have a lot of projects to show you with that paper. This is high quality two-sided paper. You can do a lot with it. So just wanted you to know about that. Is that it? I guess we can come back here. So I am going to be getting everything ready here to start our projects. If you want to join in with me, I'm going to show you at the beginning some of the supplies that you could gather up. Otherwise, feel free to, a lot of you watch this on the, watch it later on the replay or on YouTube later on as well. And you can take the notes and just try some things with me. So I'm kind of doing some techniques, and I'm also doing a project. So I have a lot to cover. So let's get started. My ring light here is reflecting. I don't like that. That's not helping, is it? This is, I'll get some paper down. So what I want to show you is stencils. Right now we have a new pack of stencils that they come in this like heavy plastic. I guess it's flexible, and then you just put it on your project, and they're pretty tough. So that is kind of how they come. They're kind of this brownish color, but you can see through that too. So you can put it on your project, and you'll be able to kind of see what you're doing. And here is what the patterns look like. There are 4 of them in the new stencil set. And so there's one of them this is what we're going to be using for our project today, because we'll have the 4 different patterns and make 4 different note cards, but they won't just be the one color like this. I'll show you some things to do with that. Then there's one that looks like that, and you can use that to make your own background paper. You can use parts of it. That's kind of more the geometric. This reminds me of fish scales. And then the other one is this kind of for the Sweet Symmetry suite of products, but you can use it by itself as well. And I just use that on paper and use my ink. And I'm going to be showing you different things that you can do with that. So if I get my catalog, I should have had this ready ahead of time. But our stencils, I'm going to kind of show you where they are. Assuming I'm going to be able to easily find them quickly. They're kind of under the different notions and different things that we have that are something different. Like they don't have their own category, obviously. But I did want to show you one thing, and that is that we do have 3x3 envelopes. So keep that in mind, because I'm going to be making 3x3 note cards today. And then, okay, I'll just give you a little glimpse at our catalog, it looks like. Sorry, I should have had this marked, you guys. I just got a little behind with working and everything. Oh gosh, maybe I'll have to actually do it the old-fashioned way and look in the index. I suppose I could do that. All right, let's look for accessories and find stencils, which aren't listed. I wonder what they call them then. If they're not called stencils, I don't know. Geesh. Oh my. Well, if I had like people, I could tell people to get them for me and look for them. They're probably just on a page they're hiding. Okay. I'm going to have to come back. I'll put that in the description. Like, if I keep looking long enough, I'll go through and find it. But I know I'm getting closer. Storage. Oh, I know I'm close. Yes. Yay. Okay, finally. Thanks. So number 6 is, they're called decorative masks. They're stencils in my book. Wow, decorative masks. Who knew? There's one group that has like, it's a different set. I don't think I have these, so I'm gonna have to look for that. They're like some tree branches, some diamonds. I wonder if I have that. And some other just geometric type shapes. And then this is the set that I'm using tonight, and that is, in fact, this decorative mat, the other one is newer. No, it's not. 6 is newer. 155-553, and they're like $8 for the whole set. There's a lot you can do with them. So we'll go from there, all right? So I am going to be grabbing some stencils, and I'm just going to show you some ideas, and then the ideas are also going to be used on our project tonight. So the one that has, oh yeah, I haven't shown you that one yet. So I'm going to set these aside, but this is the techniques I'm going to be showing you. You can use with any stencils. And I just want to show you techniques that we can use on our project. So let's pull that in. Okay. So one thing you can do, these are used on your projects too. Obviously, you can put those shapes on there, and it just adds a lot of detail. It's kind of like making your own background or your own focal point. So what I'm going to do is get this kind of adhered down. I usually use some like this kind of tape that you can get off easily. I do like put it on my jeans or a sweater or something so that it's not too tacky. I don't want it to get too sticky so that it pulls up the paper. I just kind of want it to, even though it is for, it's, you know, kind of a little bit less strong adhesive than like masking tape, it still can pull that up. So I don't want that to do that, because this is going to be used on our project tonight. And now what I need to do is make it so these edges are masked off. You could tape that all the way around. You can use Post-it notes, whatever you have that you prefer. So I'm just going to go around the edges and just, I don't know why, I guess it wouldn't matter because I'm going to be cutting that off anyways. But it just gives me a little bit more room then. I don't have to cut it right on that edge. I can kind of have that little white space if I want it for anything. I don't know, I just like to keep it kind of separate. Now you can totally mask off an area like this if you only want to work on one of your, you know, one of those designs, or if you only want part of one, you can mask it off. Tonight I'm going to be using all 4 of them, but cutting it down. My project won't be that big, but I'm going to be cutting a swath, I guess you'd say, out of the middle. And so what I want to do is, get this design put down on the paper. And I'm going to show you just some basic adding color to start with. I should have done. Oh well. All right, so to start with, this first time, I'm just going to be putting a bunch of color down, and this is going to be, I decided that this is going to be for my 4 note cards. I'm going to be cutting this and putting this on the front of note cards. They're just 3x3, so they're going to work perfect for 3x3. This is the color palette I'm going to use. Hi. Well, Craig's visiting me. Did you want to craft?
No, thanks.
No, shoot. Okay. This is our color palette, and so these 4 colors are going to be used as card bases, as ink colors, all kinds of stuff. And I'm going to be getting that onto here so that these will all coordinate together but still look a little different. So I'm just going to start with, you know, a color. It doesn't even matter which. I'm going to be using my blending brushes. I've taken mine and labeled them so that I use similar colors, like orange, red for one of them. And I do clean them once in a while, but this makes it so I don't have to clean them very often. I'm not a cleaning kind of person. So, so for example, this one, you know, you could use a green or a blue probably. I'll probably use the green. But just so then they're kind of a similar color that I use. Another thing you can use if you don't have this, daubers, sponges, anything like that can be used as well. So, in fact, I think I used a dauber. If you have a large area, these work well. If you have a smaller area that you want to like get color in a certain spot, then you can use, now this isn't Stampin' Up's daubers. We have daubers, but I just keep mine like this so that I use the same colors on the same inks. And so, for example, I'll be able to use this. I'm going to just use daubers to start with. A sponge, they have a little sponge on the end. And so I'm going to take some color up, and I usually try to test it out a little bit on a Post-it or whatever. And I think to myself, well, okay, well, where do I want, these are on note card fronts, where do I want that color? Well, each one will be a little different. Ooh, this doesn't look very bright. It must have some other color left over. And each one, I'm going to want that, this Bermuda Bay color in different areas. And it doesn't matter if it gets into other areas. It kind of all blends together when you're done. And now I would maybe kind of go a little bit slower and be a little more careful, I guess. If you know, I wasn't doing this with you, I'd probably go a little slower and get it just so. But I'm going to try to make good time here tonight if I can, and not keep you forever. And so we'll kind of get some color going. Now, one thing too is it's almost like having several colors when you can let it fade out like this. It doesn't have to be completely 100% filled in all the time. You can leave dark areas, lighter areas as you want it to do, as you want to do. So there's one color done. That's the Bermuda Bay. And then we can go on to another color. Let's bring in our Granny Apple Green. And if you're not overly familiar with the Stampin' Up! Products, we do have funny names, right, for our ink. I don't know if funny is the right word, but we have these colors, and that's because we have color families. And then, you know, let's say you have this Granny Apple Green ink pad. You're going to know which things that we have, which designer series paper, for example. Is it going to go with the green that you have on your paper? Well, everything's coordinated, and it'll tell you, you know, what green is on this particular paper, or that kind of thing. Everything coordinates, so you don't have to wonder. And it does make a difference, because that's one thing I kept running into was I would do a project and I would not, you know, I'd go to a different light source or in the morning or whatever, and then it would look totally different. It wouldn't match well, and I'd just be frustrated because it didn't look as good that way if it didn't match as close as I'd like. And this way, everything matches. You don't have to worry about that part. So that's really helpful. Okay, and next I'm using really bright colors. You can do the same thing with muted colors, with neutrals, with subtles, you know, whatever colors you prefer for your project. I am going to use this blue that's nice and bright called Pacific Point. Gotta make sure it's okay. And so this is just a real pretty bright color. And so I'm going to make sure that gets around on there. And did I put the light? I don't think I did the green on this one. Okay, no wonder. I think I got to get that one back. And I think, no, actually it was the brighter green one, wasn't it? And I think I missed one. I missed this guy. So let's try again. I don't want to forget a color on there. I just want to do these corners. And at least kind of all 4 note cards will have some of those, all the same 4 colors on them. One might spotlight a color more than another, that kind of thing. But they will all kind of go together that way. So they're kind of a set. I love that blue. It's so bright, pretty. So you just got to decide which parts you want for which area. Again, they do overlap, but when you get all the colors in there, usually it doesn't matter. You just want to make sure you don't make too much mud into brown. So we gotta decide what we want. And you pick an area and just color it in. This Pacific Point one really is bright and kind of dark, and so it doesn't take much to get that color on there. And you can even choose to maybe go lighter on one if you'd want to not go so dark, like that. You could do that if you want, and not have it as dark, but I kind of want them all the same, so I'm going to go kind of dark with that. I got to find an area where I'm going to have my last color, because I'm covering up a little bit too much on that one. But you can overlap in the same area if you want, and just kind of bring that color around in different areas. It doesn't have to just be only one area with one color. Okay, so bright blue is on everything. I just have pink, my last color left, which is Magenta Madness. That's here, and let's get, I'm going to get my dauber, and these would work just as well. So for example, oh gosh, okay, I just got that on my pants. Gosh. It's jumpy. I'm going to have to get a stain stick out for that one. So here's one of my blending brushes. You can use these too, and it would work very good for this. For the bigger areas. For a smaller area, it would be a little bit harder, but you can just kind of use it to fill in anything that you want to, that didn't get colored by a different color. But that one works fine. But you can see, like this one, if I want to just get it on some of those little dots, it won't be as easy. I don't know how well it would get just into these this leftover area, but I'm going to see. So you can see kind of what happens if you kind of get too many colors together. It can kind of blend all that in, but you'll be kind of surprised when I take off the mask how it actually looks on there. It's going to be kind of cool. But typically I wouldn't really want to get so much blending going on there in those small areas, so that's why a dauber is a little bit nicer for that. And that way I can just verify and look at everything, make sure everything's got a little color on it. Spread that in a little bit here. And the colors do kind of blend a little sometimes, so you want to keep that in mind. Make sure, like I said before, you're not making too much mud. You don't want them to have too many that blend and make a brown. All right, good enough, I think. Okay, so everything looks pretty well covered on there. And before, I don't know, I was thinking about maybe putting my Wink of Stella on there, but it's wet. I don't know if that'll matter. I'm going to wait. I'm going to just let it dry a little bit. So let's move this off of our work surface. And so that is our note card fronts, and I'll show you how to assemble that together in a minute. But I wanted the big reveal. This is the fun part, when you can see what's happened underneath there. Whoa! Isn't that beautiful? Oh my goodness. Love those colors. I gotta make sure you can see it. Can you kind of get an idea of the colors and how bold they are and pretty? Like I said, you could do this in you could choose to do this in pastels, or you know, any color combinations you can think of. But that's the 4 colors here, and it's such a crisp image. I'm really happy with that. So now I'm going to use another technique for I'm going to put that aside to dry. I don't want to lose it. Now we're going to use another technique, but this is going to be used on top of our box, on the top of our project as kind of a decoration. And so let me grab some paper here. And I'm just bringing some paper in that is going to be a little bit bigger that I'll be trimming down, but I'll be using a lot of it. I just have a piece, like for my project, I need a piece that is finished to be 5 1/4, about 5 1/4 by 3 1/2. So like I said, I'm going a little bit larger on there. And before I put my stencil down, I'm going to lay a little bit of color down on the actual paper. I gotta make sure I'm keeping you in view there. So I'm going to take some of those 4 colors and just lightly, I'm going to start with it kind of light. Maybe I should figure out a kind of a rough center where that would be. But it doesn't have to really be much yet, and it's very random. Normally I would do this with like paper underneath too, but okay, we'll try to, you can see my messy right there. Hopefully that'll be all cut off, but I just want a light layer of some of that color, and I'm going to use all 4, 1 in each corner, and they can overlap a little. All right, there's 1. I should have had wipes ready for my fingers because I'm going to be messy. And now I want to get a blue blending brush. You do not have to have this many. I just use them so much that I find it to be a little bit easier just to have. I have 2 packages. They come in packages of 3. So I bought 2 packages, and I have found that to be a pretty good amount to have to kind of have some of those general color families covered. You know, you can put some, you can use like red and orange together if you want, and that kind of thing. So there is a little blue, and let's go with a little green, and I think I might go like that with it. And so I'll probably use the green for both of these. And then maybe tonight I'll give it a cleaning afterwards. Didn't leave a whole lot of room for this side. I'm kind of overlapping a little. And I should probably just leave them open, so I'm not having to open and close them every 2 minutes. But typically I close everything immediately because otherwise I make a mess. All right, and I sometimes get the excess off ahead of time on a Post-it note, as you saw, or something, so that I don't have like a big blob. And that just kind of helps it blend together a little better. Now this is very rough and not really all that smooth, but that's okay. It's just going to be kind of a technique that is going to layer colors. Okay, so we're going to put color over this again. So there we go. Now I'm going to bring in my stencil. I'm going to put it about in the middle. Let's see, where could the middle be? About here, maybe? Okay, that should actually I have it upside down, so I probably just got color all over. Now let's try that again. Okay, that's probably close enough. And I do not want to get a bunch of color over on the side, so I'm going to cover that up again. These shouldn't be too dirty or that kind of thing. Okay, we're getting there. So cover up areas that you don't want the color to get into. Again, like that. And normally I do this with paper underneath, like I said, so I'm going to be getting a little bit of it on this, but it's glass. I'll wipe it off. I just have to be careful because I'm messy dirty. All right, so bottom left, we're going to do the same tone on tone. So I'm going to get the pink, and this was our pink area there. So I want this one to be pink, okay? I don't want to get the pink on the other shapes there, just in that bottom left. All right, like like so. And so now I do want to put down more color and get some of that bright pink going in this corner over that lighter. Okay, like so. There's that one. And we'll do the same thing on the other one here. So the upper left one was our, I think it was the Bermuda Bay, right? Yeah, I think this one here, the blue went, yeah, there's the pink, and then, gosh, I hope I'm doing it right, but we'll see. Okay, so next I'm going to do the bottom right. Oh, I don't want the pink. I want the blue next. Okay, blue. I have too many things going. And so we want a good amount of color. This is that real vibrant blue. That's called the Pacific Point. And you can kind of concentrate on getting certain areas lighter and darker than others if you want. But we are going to have that color variation underneath that we already put down. That's going to keep some areas light of the same color. And so that's kind of, you'll see what I mean. If it's not making sense yet, it will soon. All right, and green. Actually, it's not green, but it's the green brush for the Bermuda Bay. Now this, I can tell there's a lot of color that's kind of swirling there. It's not just that true Bermuda Bay. And I think some of it is coming from the actual stencil, since I didn't clean it off after I used it on the first part. So normally I would suggest you'd probably want to clean off your stencil if you don't want to transfer color. Do as I say, not as I do, I guess, right? Okay. I had just forgotten to get my wipes handy, because I usually have like baby wipes around just for quick stuff. And I could use my chamois, which I'll probably do here in a minute. And one more color left. Which is the other green, our Rennie Apple, as it's called. It's a little brighter, or now that I have this dirty, of course, it's making it kind of a not as bright, but definitely different than the Bermuda Bay color. Okay, so what does all that do when you, what does this technique do? I'll show you. It's gonna kind of just make a tone on tone, basically. So rather than have just an all white background, it kind of makes it kind of, I don't know if it shows it very well, but you have your tone on tone colors. It kind of blends together, but it's just so, it makes it so it's not all white. Does that make sense? I'm trying to find it. There we go. So I'm going to be cutting that down and putting that on the top of the project, okay? There's that. Other things you can do. I have some samples here, if I can find where I put them, of other techniques that we can use. I don't know if I should use this color though. Yeah, I'm going to do one more technique and we'll use that for our project as well, but I have these samples I'm going to show you. So one thing I did was, let's see, I combined some. This is something different. I put the real pale papaya layer down first, and that's a real light peachy color. Then I put down a stencil, that's the geometric one, and when I colored in the areas, I had another stencil underneath. So like for this, I had two stencils on at once, and this one I had two stencils on like that. I'm not going to do that one necessarily, but I wanted to show you that one. I'm going to be showing you a technique using our embossing paste. Embossing paste is the sparkly paste that you spread on your project. I don't know if this is going to show it well. It's pretty good. It's sparkly. We do have one that's matte as well. I do not have that yet. It was out of stock for quite a while, and it was a new product. And so I don't have that, but I really like the sparkle and these colors for, like that mermaid look kind of. That's kind of pretty. I've also colored it with this technique. What I did was inked up the actual stencil, just put ink all over on it. Then I set it down, and then I spread my embossing paste on it, and it spread the color out. Now, I don't know that I would, except for maybe 4th of July or something, this kind of works for that. But I don't know that I would have used these colors, but I can see where this could be a beautiful technique. I don't really, like I said, that's not my choice of colors there. But that is something else you can do. Now, one other thing that you can do that I haven't showed yet, and I just saw it, is you can emboss with embossing powder. Where I just had it. Oh, here it is. Huh. Okay, so this one, what I did was I put Versamark ink on top of the whole stencil. So that Versamark is the sticky ink, and I'm going to show you that ink. Well, no, I'm not actually. I have it out to show you. So Versamark it looks like this, and it is just kind of sticky. So there's not usually color on it. Looks like I add a little pink on it at some point. And then you heat emboss with your heat embossing powder. If you're somebody who's stamped, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I suppose I could show you. Let's try this. I do want to show that a little bit better. So I am going to take and pull in one of our card base colors. I love that blue. I'm thinking I might use that. And so I'm just grabbing that. And what I'm going to do is put embossing paste on there. And I first have to cut it down. But for our project, I'm going to need to cut it down anyway. So let's, at the same time, I'll do that. I'm going to be cutting down 4 card bases for our note cards that are one of each color in this project. And I have got to move these inks, or you know what I'm going to be doing is making a mess. Okay, so what I'm going to do for the note card sets are 3 by 6, because folded that would make them 3 by 3. So I'm going to go on my cutter here, and I don't know if you're familiar with the cutter that we have, but this is a cutting blade, and we have a scoring blade, and I will be using both. So there we have 3 inches wide, and I want it 6 inches long, and there's a ruler on here I'm going by. And then I do want it scored at 3 inches. So instead of using this brown blade, I am just scoring it, and that is going to be putting that little fold on there, which makes it have a nice crease for our card. Okay, so that was that. I'm going to be showing you, I'm going to make the same size for another part of our project, and I'll show you a little better later what I'm going to use it for. But I am going to make that same size, 3 by 6, scored at 3. Not cut at 3, but just scored at 3. And this is going to be used for another part of our project, and I'm going to show you our technique on that. And before we do that, we're going to finish our cutting of the card bases so that we get it done and we keep it fresh in our mind here. One of them is going to be this green. We're cutting it at 3 inches. Okay. And we're going to cut it 6 inches long and scored at 3. As long as you don't go too fast and accidentally use your cutting blade, you'll be good. Trust me, I've done it. I think a lot of us have. So you make that a mistake a couple times, and then after that you might remember a little more often then. All right, 3 inches by 6 inches. This is a little bit tedious. Sorry for watching. The kind of thing I should have done ahead of time and didn't have time to do. I want to not cut, but score. And one more. Just a real bright, fun color palette here. And I have it all over. That'll look nice at work tomorrow, won't it? Okay, I'll clean it off after I do this. All right, there is 3 by 6 and scored at 3. All right, those are our card bases then. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 4 card bases. And so we did that. Now, I was going to show you the other technique using embossing paste, and I'm going to do it on this. However, I am going to pull in a piece of paper, because I always stamp on a work surface, because otherwise it's so messy, and I'm getting ink everywhere, and I don't want to do that. So this is going to be my, where I'm going to stencil on. I'm going to be using that embossing paste that I was telling you about. So you can get some type of a tool, whether it's flat, or you could use like a little, I think I have kind of a spatula type of a tool, but you just whatever, you could use a credit card, something like that. And then I'm going to get the embossing paste. This is called Shimmery White. Now, I wonder if that's the right stuff that we have in the note in our catalog. Well, whatever we have in the catalog is the good stuff. This one might be an old one now that I see that. Shoot. Okay, so embossing paste is kind of like that. It's just real lightweight and easy to mix with color. So that's what I like to do with it, is I really like to spread it onto a project through a stencil, and I do like to have a little color on that. So there are different ways you can get color onto your project. One thing I usually do is use one of our stamping blocks, and you can put the color on a block like so. You won't even need that much. I could even just probably mix it right on here, but of course I don't really want a lot of the blue because it's not going to show up on here very well. But maybe we'll have a little bit of the, let's see, I shouldn't have this on here. I should wipe that off. I'm changing my mind, sorry guys. I wanted to get this kind of off of there because it's the same color as the card base and won't show very much. So if I do use a little bit of that, I don't just want a little. So I'm going to want more of the Bermuda Bay color and maybe like the pink and the green. We'll see. But what I can do then is mix some of that on here. Like so. You can see it's kind of like, I don't know, frosting maybe. And you can go light or dark, whatever you want on that. And what we do is, let me grab my stencil. I need to use the same one that I was using before. And it's still all messy dirty, but that's okay. And I'm just going to use part of it. So I can just pick one of these designs, and I'm going to put that on the front of this card base. And I'm going to use it. I'm going to get it on there through the stencil. So again, I'm going to block off some of these other areas so that the embossing paste doesn't get in there. Hi Mary, thanks for tuning in. My goodness, appreciate it. All right. Thank you, Mary. I hope you do. We'll see how it turns out. It's one of those days, so. Okay, we're gonna try a little pink over here, and you just kind of press it through there. It's nothing pretty, but normally I have, like I said, I have like a spatula I use, but you can use what you have. If you have, it's not fancy. If you have, like I said, like an old credit card, just something that has that edge that can kind of push it in, okay? And you do want to keep in mind that whatever color you're putting it onto, you know, that might affect it. So it's looking a little bit more purple on there, but that's because I'm putting it on the blue. And we'll try this color next. And it does take a little dry time, so I'm going to want to have this done first anyways, probably. And it can dry while we're doing the rest of it. Should have kind of done this first, I suppose. Okay, and then you just want to kind of make sure it's all covered, and then I'm going to pull it off. This is something normally you would want to kind of clean it off right away, because it does get hard to get off once it's dried. So I'm not going to do that right now because, oh, look, isn't that pretty? Even though the rag is pretty, it's all sparkly. Oh, I have a mess. Goodness. I seriously need my baby wipes. Where are they? Usually I just have them right on my desk or the top of my work surface. I'm going to get some of the excess off here. You can see why you need a work surface for that. Okay, what does it look like? Ooh, okay. And it's got some glitter to it, and it's just kind of a subtle, pretty. And it does have a texture. It's lifted up a little bit. You know, it might not show that well on here, but it is there. It is kind of lifted up a little bit. Ooh, there's one area that kind of smeared. So that I will probably see if I can clean that up. You know, I have all kinds of tools sitting around, and so maybe something will kind of work to clean this off. That doesn't usually happen. I must have moved it. But it probably doesn't really matter. Once it's dry, it won't really show that much. And there's another little area, but it might, once it's dry, I'll be able to kind of press on it a little more. I'm not going to press on it too much right now, but I'm going to set this aside to dry. And I'm also going to try to make it so I'm not going to make the whole place a big, huge, glittery, globby mess. You can see my hands are already, but that's me. You guys, whoever have watched me for a while, you know that I am messy. I'm creative. Yay. Thanks, Mary. That's a better way to look at it. But I am going to get rid of a bunch of this so that I don't make it worse. And then afterwards, the first thing I'm doing is dishes. Cleaning out these goodies. But, where can I put them? Oh, I found my little spreader. Okay, this is what I usually use. It was drying from the other day. But usually I use something kind of like this. Gosh, why can't I do this tonight? It's like just a little spatula. That works pretty nice. Okay, so that is another technique you can do with stencils. I feel like I should not be doing it without doing some heat embossing, because this is probably my all-time favorite. My all-time favorite technique in crafting has always been, I love to heat emboss. So what I can do then is maybe make some strips for the side. So yeah, we'll use some of this. This stuff doesn't take drying, but you do need to heat it. And I wonder if I should use a different color. I think that'll be okay. So I'm going to get a different stencil here and figure out what we want to use. And maybe that geometric one. Where did I even put them? Okay, here they are. So it's something different. I'm going to use this one, I guess. And I'm going to be using this, cutting it down and using it to decorate our project. We're going to have a box that we're putting the note cards in. And so I am going to be cutting this apart, and I'll use that as decorating the sides of the box. And you'll be able to see better what I'm talking about in a minute. So once again, we're masking off. We probably wouldn't really have to because I'll be cutting it down. So I'm going to grab some of this tape here and just kind of tape stuff down. I should actually be doing it on the side, and then I won't have to worry about the area. Okay, taking Versamark ink, and before I put the ink on, that should be okay. I am going to take this and just put it all over on the surface here of the project. You're not really going to be able to see much here. You just have to know it's putting down sticky ink that's clear all over, and where there's the blue showing isn't the area that's getting that ink then. So I am working on putting it all around. Mine I've had for a while, so it's not all that like juicy, as they say. It doesn't have a ton on it, so I'm just trying to get pretty good coverage with this and not lift it up too much. So then what I'm going to do is put some, we could go clear, we could go clear, we can go white, we can go gold, silver, bronze, or copper, yeah, bronze. All those colors of powder then are going to be on the project. And so I have to decide, do I want it to be clear and shiny? Do I want this to be white colored? So I think I'm just going to go subtle and go clear. It's not going to maybe show that well to you, but it should still show up pretty good. So you can kind of get an idea of what that ink did. It's kind of shiny. Then the next thing you do, this is seriously like one of my all-time favorites. I think you'll like it. So now I am getting clear embossing powder. Here's white, here's clear. I'm going to use the clear. So now you just generously sprinkle this clear powder all over, and you kind of want it to get all to that ink and stick on it. You can kind of see that. It's messy, but it is really fun. And you probably think, oh, that's being wasteful, but I'm going to be putting this excess back into the jar because we don't want to waste that. That's why one of these little pots lasts a long, long time. Like, as much as I craft, very rarely do I have to buy embossing powder because it lasts so long. And I'm just wanting to make sure it's got good coverage there and that it's stuck all where I want it. If you ever have something that has a little more detail And let's say I cared about this side, I could kind of rub off with a little paintbrush. Could take off that excess embossing powder so that it wouldn't emboss there if I got it to sticking in areas I didn't want it. Okay, so now the next part's noisy. What I'm going to be doing is getting a heat tool. This is a pretty standard tool that you use in paper crafting. This one I got probably in the 1980s. So I'm going to turn it on to get it kind of hot. Sorry about the noise, but that's kind of what it does. But I do want you to watch what happens as this tool heats up this powder, and then it makes a finish that's really shiny and kind of a tougher plastic feel. So I'm going to try to get it close so you can see it, because this is really fun. You can see it changing and melting that powder. Yay. Okay. Just making sure I didn't miss any areas. Okay, that's what heat embossing does. It makes this nice, shiny, plastic, protected area then that's, you know, now that it's dry or whatever and it's melted, it's like a plastic coating. And it's shiny, you can see that, but yet where the stencil was, it isn't. So that is going to be cut down and used on the side. Oh, did you marry? Me too. Every time I do this, I think of my mom. We used to always do a lot of you know, like embossing and card making together. So I did not know that your mom did that. So that is so cool to hear. Yes. These last forever, so if you have anything like this, you could use it. You could use silver, gold, and it'd be just beautiful. Black, there's all kinds. That is so fun. I love to hear that. Aw, I miss Margaret. She was like one of the sweetest ladies ever. Okay, there we go. Oh, I wonder if I used to always have this really cute saying up here, and it was one that I had gotten from Margaret Wiskus, and it was about being a mother, and oh, I don't see it right now. I wonder where I put it, but it had been up here for years, and I always thought of her. It was so beautiful. She mailed it to me one day. Okay, back to Stampin' and our project. So this is set aside. We're kind of getting there. All right, so what I'm going to do then is kind of think a little bit of putting together. Oh, I know what we need to do. We need to stamp. So I am going to use, this is a Stamparatus, it's called, and that I am going to be using with a set of dies and an inks. This ink pad, this is just like one big stamp. And that's why you can put it on a big block, but I kind of like it on the Stamparatus just because what a Stamparatus does is makes it so that you can kind of go back over your project a couple of times. So you just kind of put it where you're going to want it to be. And I'll be putting some paper down here. But it just makes it so you can ink it up and stamp and then ink it up a little more if some areas didn't come out how you want them to go. But this is one thing about that I really like this set because it has a lot of, it's all sentiments. Hooray, it's your birthday. Wishing you a magical moments, wonderful memories. Thank you for being you. Happy birthday. I mean, it just goes on and on. Congratulations, happy anniversary, thank you so much. And it's going to make a bunch of tags all at once, because then the die cuts out the, it cuts them all out for you. So then you just ink it, stamp it, and then you cut it out once, and then you have all of these ready to go. So they're really nice for having, for like if you want to give somebody a little kit, which is what we're making tonight. This is all the sentiments and the tags that they're going to need. Then they aren't we don't have sentiments on them ahead of time. They're just ready to go, so they choose whatever they're going to need it for. Okay, so I need my paper, and these are easy enough to like do a bunch, but I am going to just do one for now. I do need my, where'd I put it? Put my, magnet down to hold it into place. I think I stuck them on the side here. And there's, you know, I could just do them all one color if I wanted to have them all that way. Or I can, you know, kind of use a bunch of colors on there. That's kind of what I'm going to be doing. So I got to go up a little higher. Sorry about that. And so what I'm going to do is I'll scoot it so you can see me ink it up. It's kind of nice sometimes to have a little something under there. Typically a stamp set is about the right height. But can you see that? All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use daubers. But they're under here, aren't they? I don't know. I can't make up my mind. So, because I want to have a variety of colors. So I'm just going to kind of do like this to start with. There's one. And I'm going to get that ink down a little bit by closing it down once. It's not the best way for you to see. But, okay, so there's a lot of pink on there, but I'm going to add some more colors. And just here and there, and kind of layer it so that I just don't want it all to be the same. I kind of want it variegated, I guess. Is that what you'd call it? Ooh, that's cool. So there's a lot of pink. It looks kind of purpley. Gosh, I just feel like maybe I better quit while I'm ahead. So I am going to... Maybe I did the pink. Did I do blue? Yeah. The other color was that limey green, and that could make it a little more brown. So I'm just going to look at some areas maybe that could use a little more color and a little more ink that aren't as quite as clear as I'd like. Just here and here. So just some of these areas, and I'll be pressing on them a little bit more. And that's what you can ink it again and again, which is nice, because then you can have nice, clear, crisp sentiments is what we always want, right? Oops, that one I messed up on. Okay, that's pretty good. I'm not having luck down here with this one, but I think, yeah, I think that one I'm not going to use anyway, so I must have had something in the way of that one. Again, now I'm going to get my, I know I had gotten my chamois all clean and ready to go. And who knows where I put it. Okay, so I'm going to pull in here what we're going to be decorating. And that is what they call a mini paper pumpkin box. And so that is what's going to be used to decorate, to put our project in. And I'm just getting things sort of tidy so that I know where everything is and I don't lose anything. And I do know that we have to cut out our sentiments yet. So what I should have done is done that ahead, because I have to buy a new die cut machine, because mine is not, I broke it. And so the one I'm going to have to use for this, I hope it works good enough, is in my old one. And so I think I'm finally going to invest in the Big Shot Stamp Cut and Emboss. That Stamp Cut and Emboss machine is what it's called. So now I am lining this die up with, like there's some stars and hearts and things like that on there. So that tells me exactly where I'm going to need this die to be on here. I can trim it down. I don't need it this big, of course. So let's get that trimmed down a little so I can fit it through the actual die cut machine. Well, she was a sweetheart, Mary. All the way to the end, I tell you, all forever. She always knew me. She mailed me things. She's just sweet. Like, just just an amazing lady. Okay, so let's get our die cut machine. Tonight I have to use my Cuddle Bug. Hopefully I have everything I need. I might not. Oh my goodness. Oh, I might not have it. Because it's broken. Oh, I found it. I think. I don't know. Well, oh goodness. Well, okay, I'm not sure. Oh, I bet it's on here. There it is. Okay, this is gonna get shaky and stuff because where I have my camera, one of them is on the stand. So if it gets wiggly, I apologize. I just had to open it up. Maybe you're not seeing that anyway, so that's okay. So let's bring in my old beast. I did find it. I did find the plates. So, like I said, I'm looking forward to investing in a new one because these are like in rough shape. And as much as I use them, I think that will be just fine. I'll get my money's worth out of it. Okay, so what this does is cuts out all these sentiments at once. So let's see here if you can kind of see that. See how that looks on there? It's going to cut out that many sentiments at once, so it's so handy. And you can see that some of them are multicolored with different ink colors, so it goes kind of along with that theme of brightness and kind of cheerful, bright colors in that color scheme. They're noisy. Sounds like you're breaking it, but it's not. It's supposed to do that. Okay, so then I'm gonna flip it upside down, kind of show you how it looks. You can see that it cuts them all out then. See how that is? Super nice. And then you have all these cute little tags that say different things. So now I'll get that out of the way. And I'm going to be including a bunch of these in that little set that we're making. Okay. So get these to kind of punch out a little bit. And I'm going to be setting them aside and putting them in a little bit. All right. So see how that works? How spiffy is that, and slick and fast. All right, putting that aside for now. And now, where are we? What's next? I would say we got to get a move on our box. I was just showing that to you, and then I moved it out of the way. Okay, so we have these, what's called a mini paper pumpkin box, and they have two sides. One is a shiny, waxy side, kind of like food. It's for food side, you know, like how maybe a box of, if you have cookies or something, you could put that against this side instead of, it won't, it you know, kind of soak in a bunch of that grease or something like that. It just keeps it nicer on the for that. But I'm gonna have you can have either side up. You know, maybe I'm gonna switch it. I'm gonna put the actual shiny side up this time. My first one I'll be showing you in a little bit that I made. I had used the other side. My hands are so dirty. I had the duller side up, and I think on this duller side you actually could stamp and ink and do all kinds of stuff right on it. And that's not how I'm doing in this project, but it could be done that way. So I'm just folding on all these score lines. You get a package of 10 of them for $7.50, so they're only like 75 cents a piece, which I think is a pretty good deal if you're giving a gift to somebody, and it's a good way to give a gift that's, you know, somewhat affordable, right? Okay, so these tabs go in. And you want, once the tabs are up and in, you're going to fold the side over. So, tabs on the inside. Trying to find the easiest way to show it so you can see what I'm doing. And then there's little tabs, little slits that the tabs go into. Oh, goodness. And then it just closes like this. Okay, so that's how this box comes. Before you do too much on the inside, what I like to do is kind of section it off, because if you just have everything in here loose, then it is, you know, everything will fly around. So what I like to do is have the first section approximately, oh, let's see, we just want it to fit like that. So I'm going to measure here. I want this first section to be, I want the whole interior is about 5.5. So I'm going to go at 3, do I want to go 3.25? So right around 3.5, I'm going to put a little divider. So I'm going to make my own divider by taking a piece of white. I'll probably want to use some of what we call our thick cardstock, just some of the thicker, and then I'm going to be cutting it down. So the depth is, let's see, I want it to be roughly, I think, around 4 inches, and then the height of this is about 1 inch. But so what I want to do is have a piece that is going to be, I need a tab of 1/2 inch. So I'll just kind of show you how you can figure this out on your own. I want it to have a little bit of a tab where I'm going to adhere it down to the bottom of the inside of the box. And I want that to be approximately a good 1/4 of an inch. And then I want it to be 3/4 of an inch. And then another 3/4, because it's going to be double walled or whatever. And then it's going to go about 1/4. So now these are rough. You can see I didn't even use a ruler. So what I do, so the total is going to be about 2.5. So I'm going to cut it 2.5 inch strip. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a minute, because right now it probably makes no sense at all. So I'm going to go 2.5, and I'm going to cut it, and then what I'm going to do is use those little marks as a general guide. I don't have to have it exactly like that, but I'm going to score on those marks. So I'm going to go at roughly, you know, a quarter or so. But then these I do want to have a little bit closer, so I want to put, the next one is going to go, I'm going to put the score mark on 3/4 because I want this to be 3/4 of an inch high. So from this score line that I already made, I'm going to go over another 3/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to go over another 3/4 of an inch and score again. Make sure it's fairly straightish. And then I need one more score. I'm switching it around just to make it easier to see. And this one is going to be a roughly another quarter. So I'm hoping I kind of got this close. I'm going to trim just a titch off, I think. That's what's nice. You can go from cutting and scoring and cutting and scoring right away. So, what I'm talking about here is a foot and a foot. Yeah, I have a little bit too much. Got to cut off one of my sections here. And so these are going to go up. The edges are up. So we are, if you're familiar with origami, the very center is a mountain fold, and then the other two are both valleys, so that means they're going in, like a valley would be. Of course, this is not the right length. I haven't cut it down yet. So you can get the idea. Okay, so we're going to be putting that in like this. Okay, but I need it to be, I think it was, what, oh, I got to measure it again. Right around 4 inches. I may have to cut a little off, but right around 4 inches. So I'm going to trim that down to 4 inches. And we'll see how well it fits in there. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's a little tight, so I need to trim a little more off. And you can make more of these. You can make more, like if you would rather have a couple of little sections, I guess, for sentiments. You know, you could make another one right over here and then have the long sentiments fit in there. I always do this where I just have it way too long and I keep trimming and trimming. Oh goodness. Let's try that. And I'm going to trim it so that these two are exactly the same. I was afraid this is going to get to be a longer process here because I was doing too much, a technique and a project. So that I'm going to be adhering into place like so. Okay, and that at least will keep your cards and your sentiments and embellishments, that kind of thing, separate from each other. So I want to make sure that this is going to fit okay, that I put it in the right spot. So I wanted to go about 3.5. So I'm going to put this edge right around here. And then I can get some adhesive. What do I want to use? I need good tough stuff here, so I'll get my seal. And just going to put a line of it there. And then each of these are going to have some seal on them as well. Make sure I got it on both. I did. Excuse me. Pardon me, I'm just getting over having a bad cold. And it wasn't COVID. Okay, is that at all straight? No. Normally, I would like be able to look at it better and judge that, but I'm kind of in a hurry, so I'm going to go quicker. Now, you can also cut. Ooh, that didn't even stick. What? going too fast. There we go. That's sticking into place. Hi, Craig. What do you need? You just saying hi? Yeah. Okay. Craig's saying hi. He's wondering if I'm done yet. I probably should have been. Where am I at? Oh, goodness sakes. Okay, I'm going to fly through this. So, put a piece of paper on the bottom to cover up this divider, okay? Next, for your actual, this is going to decorate the sides, and we're also going to use one of them to decorate that we made. That's going to decorate the top of the box. Okay. Oh goodness, I hope I don't get a coughing fit here. All right, so since I'm going to be adhering this onto this, see how cute that is? It's got all of our colors and everything. I want to go a little bit in, about 1/8 of an inch in. So it's 3.5 by about 8 1/4. 3.5 by 8 1/4. And so, yeah, that should work just about perfect. So let's get the trimmer. And if I go 3.5, I want the center about, I want it fairly centered. So about, let's see, 1 3/4 is center. So I'm just kind of eyeing that 1 3/4 to go down the center here. Hopefully it's straightish. All right, so I think, didn't I write down 3.5? Yes, 3.5 is about here. So if I go here, is it going to look pretty centered? I think that'll be pretty good. So I'm making the brave move, cutting that off. So I'm only using part of it, and that's okay, but it kind of gives you the idea of what's on the inside. And then it's 8 1/4. So that would be 4 1/8 is in the middle. So I'm kind of going to eye 4 1/8 to go about in the center here. Let's see that. Okay, I can't be right. I don't think I'm right. That's not 8 1/4. I'm learning how to measure apparently. It's 5 1/4. That's a different ball game. 5 1/4. So 2 3/4 about in the middle. Okay, so let's try that. Trim. And now 5 1/4 should be about right. Just trying to make it square. Okay, there we are. So this is the top of our box, and that was just the one that I showed you how to make earlier, where you put down a lighter color first, and then you get it darker after that. So let's adhere this onto the top. Finally getting to the construction here. Can't believe it. I gotta get faster at this. Ugh. Or maybe have less, or have more prepared, I guess. That would be a better way to do it. So I'd like this to roughly be in the center. Okay, like that. And then each side, so this gets on the inside here. So this panel and this panel will both, I'm going to put some blue on them, and it's going to be about 5 3, oh, maybe 5.5. Let's go 5.5 by a little less than 1, 7/8 by 5.5. And I'm going to do that twice so that I have 2 of them. So I'm going to cut off some of this that I don't want to use. Just like make a nice fresh cut there. And so I'm going to use that as my guide to make it square and all that. And I'm going to cut off some of this part that we don't want, and part of this that we don't want. And I always write stuff down because, like, I already have forgotten where am I going. I want it to be 5.5 long. So I can just cut it at 5.5 right now. And then the strips are about 7/8 of an inch. So I need 2 long ones for the sides. Oh, that's 3/4 of an inch. Oh. All right, let's do this. Come on. Okay. And then I know I'm going to be putting it on the other end as well. So I might as well just cut some of the same widths at 7/8. And then I will get the correct length for the shorter sides here in a second. So they should all be the same, 7/8 of an inch. And then we're going to be putting it on this side, which is, how long is that? That end is about I'll go about 3.5 inches on those two. Okay. So 3.5. And another 3.5. And that'll be the lengths for that. Okay, let's put those on. So you gotta kind of stop and think when these are getting adhered. Just think, is this an outside? Make sure it's not like an edge that's getting tucked in. So we know this back outside, this is going to be showing for sure. So that's going to go like that. And just kind of shows that funky kind of geometric part here. And we'll do it here. Now this one gets tucked in, so this would be the area that I want to use it onto. So same thing as we just did. And now for these tuck in, so it's this main actual base of the box that you're putting all the decorative edges on. So we'll go here. You could also use like a liquid adhesive, that would work fine too. But I thought with this more shiny surface that maybe liquid wouldn't stick quite as well. So that's why I'm using the seal, but whatever you got. I just want it to stay, that's all. I don't want it to fall apart. That wouldn't be good. Okay. We're getting there. Like I said, I would cover that up here. On the inside, I'd cut a panel to go in the bottom. So I would do that if I were you. Okay, now our card bases, that we want this to go on top of the 4 different cards. So we need to cut those down. I just want to cut in the middle so that we have our 4 card tops, or fronts, I should say. And I think that's about in the middle. And then that's fine about, actually, I like to put the cut edge at the top to make sure it's nice and square. Okay, so these are 3-inch card bases, so we can go ahead and make it a little bit smaller than that. like so. Probably maybe instead of 3 inches, we'll go like 2 7/8. And that should be about where we want it, okay? So that's how that's going to look on our card. We'll be adhering that to a card front. And we'll do that same thing with all of them here. Make them roughly 2 7/8, or, you know, square. So like, that was not quite the right width, so I want to do 2 7/8 approximately, and then this way as well, just so that a little bit of our card base will show around the sides. Hopefully I'm cutting these nice and square. That's always helpful. That one, just trimming here and there. If you're wondering what I'm doing here, we're gonna try to get that to the right. Like this one, I would have, if I would have just gone right away, it would have been weight a little bit off center, so I'm kind of trying to cut it centered. So that's why it's taken, you know, what would be nice is actually to use a square die and cut it that way. Probably would be good. Okay, so I think we're getting there finally with that. I might trim a little bit more on this one, just so it's squarish. Because once I get them to the card base, I might notice if they're not square, that might be more apparent. And then just kind of see what colors you like with each one, or how to divvy them out here. Doesn't really matter, I don't think. Okay, so then these can be adhered on. I better test it first. Just a little bit of a border around the edge. Oh, come on. Okay, here's one. It's a little bit, I need to trim it a little. I just can't look away. All right, so you can decide if you want it a side fold or a top. I'll probably just do a top on this one. Try to get that border even all the way around. I apologize for this one going so late. If anybody needs to sign off, I wouldn't blame you. I had not intended for it to be this long, so I apologize. You can always pick it up on the replay if you'd like. But I'd hate to go this far and then not really finish it very well and not explain it very well. So, yeah, that's why we're still heading up. We're still doing it. Okay, pretty, pretty. I love these colors. Oh. One left. Now we do have, like I was telling you, we do have those envelopes that fit these 3x3. So you don't have to try to make the envelope. That is something that's available if you need it. And so instead of me like totally finishing every detail of these, I'm going to show you my finished one. But this is kind of how they're looking. Oh, isn't that pretty? I love these. And that's going to be going in here. I would dress this up some more, but this is the general idea. And those sentiments that we stamped and cut out. Oh, you know what? I was wrong about this, wasn't I? I'm going to have to move that to here. Oh, goodness. Okay, so you get the idea, but I'll show you this one is a little more finished. It's a little different color scheme, but it'll show you kind of what we're aiming for here. I did put some embellishments on it, and I just kind of used some basic geometric on the side here. What I did was I took and made an extra card, and I put it on the inside, and it gives instructions to the person that you give it to on how to finish your cards. Choose a card base and its matching envelope. Choose sentiments. One can go on the front or one inside or both. Put foam adhesive dimensionals on the back of your sentiment and adhere it to your card. Put 3 gems on the front. And then this is usually for a gift enclosure, and it says it's not to mail this size of a card. So I do have them looking kind of shiny and stuff too. But what I did was I just tied a little twine around it. I have the envelopes that have a light image on there. They're just super light. So it just is the same image lightly put onto the envelope so that they kind of match. And then I have all the sentiments here ready to go in this little side area. And then I also have a strip of different colored gems that they can use to put their to put onto their project, depending on how that project depends on how, you know, like what they want it for and what colors they choose. But they can use whatever ones they want. There's enough to make four cards and envelopes. Oh, actually, and then I also put some extras in here. What I did was just made some bases that I did do some just plain embossing on. So they're colored bases with little sentiments or designs embossed just right into the cardstock. This is called dry embossing. The heat embossing is the other type that I just showed you a little bit ago. With the heat gun, that's heat embossing. This is dry embossing with embossing folders. So that is a little kit that you could make for somebody. There's already those little bows there. You could put bows in there if you'd rather, or other ribbon. And then whatever sentiment they want to use. And also I would have in there some of these adhesive pieces that, oops, there you go, sorry. These are our small dimensionals that you would be able to put on the back of your sentiment and adhere it on. And this is kind of an example that I'm showing them. You can see the little, I just put a little teeny high there on there. They could put happy birthday, happy anniversary, or whatever. And then I just put some random placement of the gems. So that is how you could give the gift to someone. And that just closes up. This goes here, and this tucks down into there. And so you have a little gift you can make for someone, and then they would be able to give 4 or 8 note cards, or however many you want to put in there. It definitely has enough to at least do 8 of this small 3x3 size. You could put stamps in there, and it should hopefully all be there for whatever they need. Oh, okay, I think I'm almost done, finally. Are you getting ready to go to sleep for the night? Oh, maybe you're watching this at a time that's not nighttime. Thank you for sticking around. This is way too long, and you're way too patient, but I hope you got some value out of it, and that it gave you some ideas of some things that you can do with, if you have any stencils at home, dry embossing, a little box. You know, I just happen to have this one. You could use whatever you happen to have and try to make it work for what you have. But please let me know if you have any questions or if you need anything. Yeah, let me know. I'm happy to help you out. So you have a great weekend coming up, and happy 4th of July. And thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Have a great night. Take care. Keep in touch. Thank you, Mary.